It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Yeah, look, buyer's agents can add a lot of value. There's been a lot of new buyer's agents entering the market recently, so really make sure you're using a buyer's agent that, number one, has experience, number two, has experience in the area you are trying to buy, and number three, is very, very clear on their proposition and how they charge.
And that is Anthony Landahl on the Real Estate Breakfast this morning as we launch into another episode with more of your property information, connecting you, of course, to over 1,400 real estate episodes across Australia every morning. And we do that 7 days a week and streaming right now on Spotify and iHeartRadio. Well, it's been another fast and furious week, heading into another weekend of property hunting. Once we get done with today, it is Friday, October the 24th. Here's a question too for you. Do you use Temu? Got to say, once you download the Temu app, as I did recently, because I've chosen to completely ignore this app until now, the marketing barrage starts bombarding you relentlessly. You know, you've got the flashing pop-ups, the countdown timers, and these endless free gift offers. They are flooding your screen. Now, it's marketing on steroids at a level I have never seen before, and the amount of emails is by far the most I've ever received from a company trying to entice and lure their business onto mine. So what do? Well, the only natural thing is delete the app. Let's buy local. Too much of a nightmare. You know, the amount of customers they must be losing because of the way that they assault your senses, I would imagine, would be vast. Have you had the same experience on that? Love to hear your thoughts. You can leave a voice message below, or of course you can email us, myrealestatepodcast@gmail.com. Let's go to Sydney right now on our Friday and catch up with Anthony Landahl. He's the mortgage broker and managing director of Equilibria Finance. Anthony, good morning to you. And you were telling me off air that you haven't experienced Temu, but you have experienced all of those cookies. And, you know, once you visit these websites, they get you.
Yeah, good morning. Great to be here. And it's uncanny. You're searching for something on the website and then suddenly you're getting advertisements in relation to similar products. So sounds like Temu is one for me to absolutely avoid.
Yes, and the other one that I've been bombarded by is Welcher, and I don't even know what that company is, but just can't get rid of the spam. Now, Australia's housing market has hit a new landmark. We're going to talk about this morning, with the total value of residential property now estimated at 11.8 trillion. That is according to Cotality. At this pace, they're suggesting that the market is on track to cross the 12 trillion threshold by the end of the year, signalling strong momentum heading into the new year. And for those that are still trying to purchase and potentially buying into this rising market, how are those conversations going, Anthony, with people that you're talking to and their take on the current market heading up to Christmas?
Yeah, it's a challenging environment. And as you touched on, the value of residential real estate in Australia has hit $11.8 trillion. We're not far off that $12 trillion mark. It has grown a staggering $678 billion over the past 12 months. We now have 1 in 3 properties with a median value of over $1 million. And the market is gaining momentum. It's grown 4.8% nationally. The 3 months to September, we saw 2.2% growth. This is the largest growth we've seen in the market for a couple of years now, since May 2024. So the market is gaining momentum. It's creating a lot of challenges for buyers. You've got throngs of bidders at auctions. You've got escalating clearance rates, which are now around about 70% for the last month. And you've got rising prices. So very, very challenging for buyers. Value of Australia's housing market is $11.8 trillion. Superannuation, for example, is sitting at $4.3 trillion. So 55.5% of Australia's wealth is tied up in real estate.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, isn't it? And never a dull moment in the Australian real estate market. We've got those twists and turns like a roller coaster. And if you are a first home buyer navigating what looks like this rising market, how are you traversing the landscape at the moment? Because, Anthony, how should people prepare for what's unfolding?
For some of them, it is a shock. The rising market, the number of people at auction, the discussion with real estate agents. How do you navigate all of this? Some basic fundamentals can help get your framework right. Firstly, know your budget. Understand what you are able to afford. That's based on what your deposit might be. That's based on how much you can borrow. And that'll give you an outcome around this is my purchasing capacity. Also, understand some of the things you might be able to leverage, whether it's a stamp duty concession, whether it's the first home loan guarantee scheme or another state government grant. The property guide or the pricing guide might be $1 million and they go to auction and it goes for 1.5 million, which can be really discerning for a buyer. And it may be you have to broaden your research. You have to maybe go from, look, I can't afford a house. Maybe I'm looking at a townhouse. So really understand the sort of property and area that is going to suit. You ultimately are competing against other buyers. How do you make yourself attractive to the vendor? It's so easy to get swept up in the fear of missing out and the emotion of it. Also, maintaining some really strict runways and guideposts is really important. Big challenge for those upgrading is going from a unit townhouse to a house just because of the sheer difference in value. So again, a lot of upgraders are resetting their sites or in fact are modifying an existing property.
We are talking to Anthony Landahl on our Friday. When we come back, Anthony has got some thoughts about investors. We're also going to be talking about real estate agents. He's got some useful tips there if you're going to be engaging one. And what about buyers agents? How do they assist with you buying your property? So we'll talk all about that after this.
Every morning from 6, we bring you the latest real estate news with diverse perspectives from leading industry experts.
We were talking about just how competitive real estate is off air, and you were telling me you're into volleyball. Now, that's another competitive area, just to have that outlet, I guess, of being competitive.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for having me. Yeah, absolutely. I just found, obviously, to be in this industry, you have to have some sort of competitive streak embedded in you. And I don't just carry that internally, I also carry it externally at work. And I personally found that's the only sport or activity that I could take on to channel that, basically the competitiveness.
Boy, the rough and tumble of volleyball with the girls on the court, it's very contact, isn't it?
It is. I say at the end of the day, real estate's a non-contact sport. So finding something that's contact just gets all of those frustrating deals out of the way. The other players don't need to know about it.
Know your property. Available for breakfast from 6 a.m.
And it is a Real Estate Friday. Yes, a very busy week at our end. Have you had a busy one? Couple of days off coming up. Let's get through the end of today. Anthony Landahl is with us, and you wanted to make mention of some of the investors and what they're up to at the moment.
Yeah, the investor psychology can be different from a homeowner. For an investor, you're essentially investing in an asset class, and a rising market for an investor can be lucrative, but it can also be very easy to make an expensive mistake if you're essentially driven by hype, fear of missing out, rather than strategy. So the big thing for investor is focus on the fundamentals of an investment. What's your strategy? Is it around capital gains? Is it around rental yield? What's your cash flow? How are you going to manage your cash flow through the investment property cycle? Have a look at your strategy as a long-term play. It's not about timing the market. It's about buying the right property, having the ability to hold the right property for the long term. A big thing we talk to investors about is make sure you're buying an investment grade. Don't try and find a bargain in this environment that ultimately may not be a long-term investment. It's a bargain for a reason.
Yes, indeed. And remember, of course, we are not a real estate company. Therefore, we have created this master list of agents and real estate companies right across Australia to help make some suggestions on who to engage if you are looking at buying or selling real estate. Even if you have a few names already carved out, you can still contact us and we'll pass along who we think could help out in your market. Now, because, Anthony, not all real estate agents are the same, you have some useful tips.
Yeah, look, dealing with real estate agents, and obviously no disrespect, we work with a lot of real estate agents and there's some fantastic ones out there, but particularly for someone new to the market or someone upgrading or trying to get a read on the market, it's not always easy. Remember, the real estate agent is representing the seller. Ultimately, they're trying to get the best price and the best outcome for the seller who ultimately has engaged them. So a lot of dealing with real estate agents is about doing your own research, and also about asking the right sort of questions. 4 questions we always give some guidance around to ask the real estate agent to get more of an understanding about the property in the area. Number 1, why is the vendor selling? What's the motivation? Is there a reason they're selling? Are they trying to catch a rising market? Is it a forced sale for financial reasons? Understand how long the property's been on the market. Is there an opportunity to come in with a slightly lower offer? Are they trying to offload the property? So understand the dynamics of that specific property. Understand, are there any issues with the property? Get a building and pest inspection done. Understand some of the challenges the property's had or in that local area. Are there any development applications on properties in and around that? And make sure you get some recent sale comparisons of like-for-like properties in that area and in that region and other recent properties that have sold. So really bring your research into a specific property once you've identified the region and the type of property that you want to purchase, and really hone in on that with the real estate agent. And it's also a challenge with making an offer because obviously real estate agents are trying to get the best price. So really be clear on how you're going to position your offer to make it attractive to the vendor.
And on that list that I was talking about, we also have buyers agents on it who we trust and can connect you with. And Anthony, what's your take on engaging with a buyer's agent to assist people buying property?
Yeah, look, buyer's agents can add a lot of value. There's been a lot of new buyer's agents entering the market recently, so really make sure you're using a buyer's agent that, number 1, has experience, number 2, has experience in the area you are trying to buy, and number 3, is very, very clear on their proposition and how they charge. We often talk to our clients about a buyer's agent might charge a flat fee for their service or a percentage-based fee. We always recommend try and find a buyer's agent who charges a flat fee and talk to the buyer's agent where you need help. Buyer's agent have a number of different offers. Some of them will do the full service where they'll do the full finding the property, securing the property, doing the negotiations and seeing it through to the end. Some buyers will also offer a service of negotiating with the agent or attending the auction for you. And this can be a really attractive service for those people who have attended auctions, who keep missing out on properties, who are struggling to nail that property down with the negotiation. We had a client recently utilise a buyer's agent who secured a property at auction for them, and they're absolutely thrilled. They found the property, the buyer's agent secured it for them. So really understand the buyer's agent offer and really make sure the buyer's agent understands your brief, knows the area and knows your laneway and is very clear on the outcomes you're trying to achieve.
All right, we'll leave it there, Anthony. You enjoy your Friday, enjoy the weekend coming up, and catch you back same time, same channel very soon.
Looking forward to it. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Whether you're a seasoned investor or a first-time buyer, know your property with us on the Real Estate Podcast.
You don't want to overcommit to a larger borrowing scenario because you say you are on your own, you're in your 40s with no backstop. I guess you'd have a few comments about Nikki there in Adelaide, just sort of weighing the pros and the cons up.
I believe the goal of this is to help people get into the market sooner and get in front of that increase and hopefully build some equity and get on that property ladder. And it is difficult for people when they're up against investors or second home buyers who are capitalising on equity. And we've heard stories of investors and seen it ourselves where those second home buyers or investors who have slightly better leveraging and better financial positions just offer slightly above the government incentive cap, which helps them to grab properties. My thoughts would echo yours, Craig, that if you can afford to and if buying a property is very high on your priority list, then jumping in sooner rather than later can be helpful because then you're getting ahead of that potential growth that we're hearing a lot of economists speak about.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.